Well, welcome to using tarot to converse with sculpture, the seven obstacles of fear. This is a fairly new practical applications of tarot Zoom series that I'm hosting. I am a poet and tarot muse, Tanya Pripyatnyevich, and probably the funnest way to connect with me is over at Instagram at Hearts Compass Tarot, where I post things about tarot, poetry, occasionally my whatever I'm doing in my life with flowers and animals. And today's featured artist is Sandy Frank, who's on the call with us and will be addressing questions that she sent to me. And this is uh, a little bit about Sandy. She's an artist with over 35 years of experience sculpting and drawing the human form. She holds a BA in illustration from the Academy of Art University and a BFA from the University of San Francisco. Her work has been showcased both nationally and internationally and at prestigious venues such as Openings NYC in New York and the Cato Institute in Washington, D.C. Um, Sandy's also been anatomy professor at the Academy of Art University in San Francisco as well for over 12 years. And then she also teaches fabulous private workshops in figurative sculpture and drawing. So, Sandy, thank you for being willing to engage and let us look at your sculpture project and the questions you have as you prepare to move forward in the world with it, like it's a birthing of a project.
That's exactly, and thank you for having me, and
Yeah.
I'm excited. Wait,
Okay. And then right away, this first sculpture, tell us the name of this one that's on the first slide here.
so the first slide is arrogance, and it's the back side of the sculpture of the person that is arrogant, yet what is going on inside is that they're very insecure and small. But on the other side, they're very puffed up.
Okay, so it's arrogance.
Mm.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. And then
Sure.
I've also included, so this is a 7 series, and I'll let Sandy just speak briefly for a moment. Here are 3 of those snapshots of the artwork.
Indeed. So the seven obstacles of fear are the seven fear pattern behaviors that we develop in our childhoods that stop us from achieving our authentic self. Um, they are life size or larger, so that my idea is that the viewer will actually face their fears or walk up to their fears and can look at them in a visceral way. Um, and so that's kind of the idea. The figures have the embody each, each of the characteristics as a kind of like a human that has the characteristics of greed or stubbornness or whatever the seven are. So that's kind of the idea. And then after that, I have a workshop that I've developed so that, we can, if you want to get into it even more, you can get into it even more and, go through a workshop and find out what your fear patterns are.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sandy. So that's amazing that it's a visual representation in sculpture, and then beyond that, that you're carrying the work forward to individuals to keep exploring once they've had a chance to see a three-dimensional version. It's amazing. So Sandy I had reached out to Sandy to ask, and she's one of our subscribers. So this is like a subscriber Zoom feature where I'm happy to feature anyone who's on my subscriber list. And so Sandy sent me these questions and I modified them a little bit to make them a tiny more general so that anyone who is on the call with us or comes across the video later can apply the questions to their own project if they're bringing something out into the world, writing a book, it could be anything, a piece of art, even, a letter I'm going to write. So here are the 3 questions we'll look at today in the Zoom. How can I best nurture my vision of where I'd like this project to manifest in the world? How can I best manage my fears around the process of bringing my project into the world? And what is my focal point for joy and success with this project? So Sandy, I added joy. I know you were talking about success, but I felt like that was kind of part of it. And then you had a fourth question about am I ready to put this in the world? And I felt like these three questions together would kind of hold that under that umbrella.
I agree.
So what I did was I'm using three tarot decks today, and we'll just get as far as we can within the hour. But I chose the Radiant Tarot, the Druid Craft Tarot, and the Angel Tarot. So question one, two, three. And then the method we use today is based on the tarot journaling method from Heart's Compass Tarot. Discover tarot journaling and create your own cards. I'm inviting everybody who's on the call to just, you can bring your own deck and then lay out the cards yourself, or you can use the one that I created for us. And I always pick the cards with the intention that they help whoever shows up, whether that's today or later when they encounter it. So each of the questions, I decided to do a 3-card spread around each question. So for example, this very first one that we'll look at in the next slide, card 1 represents the conscious energy present to nurture my vision. Card 2 is going to represent the unconscious energy present to nurture my vision of where this project shows up in the world. And then card 3 just represents an ally or a helper card. And I know you're both familiar with it. Super basic tarot journaling method is to meet the card with your own set of responses to the colors or the textures or the imagery, and to write, helping you dial into your own intuitive self around what you're perceiving in the card. And then you can always go back another time, look up the card maker's intention, because that's also important. And then you can dive back in for a second round of writing based on what you learned in that description. So we'll just do this little short grounding exercise that I love to start us off with, and we'll go from there. So if you're sitting in a chair, just put your feet comfortably on the floor, close your eyes, and put your hands over your heart. Just feel that sensation of your own hands and the warmth that creates, and drop down out of your beautiful head into your beautiful heart. Some nice deep breaths, and I'll call us back in a moment. Okay, let's see. And when you're ready, I've labeled the position of the card for you and put Sandy's first question down the side. How can I best nurture my vision of where I'd like this project to manifest in the world? So here's the Radiant Tarot. So the conscious energy present is the Ace of Cups. The unconscious energy that is present to nurture that, but that you might just not be aware of, is the Queen of Pentacles. And then the ally or the helper card is the Six of Cups card. So I'm just going to invite us to write for 10 minutes, and you can either try to write to each one or pick the one that's talking to you the most, and I'll call us back in 10 minutes. And yeah, maybe we'll just mute while we write, and I'll call us back.
Okay.
Great. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up where you are. Maybe you already are. Just gonna do this so we can see each other a little better for a minute. Anyone have a desire to read from something or just share what you experienced or connected to?
I just
Should I go?
oh, go for it.
I like you to go first.
Oh, I hate going first too. So I really loved the middle one, the unconscious energy. It seems so calm and empowered in kind of just this ancient stillness and the greens and the cool colors. And I also have in my work before had Jackrabbit be an inner guide. And so it was really lovely to find him showing up at the feet of this peacock queen. Um, and its ears weren't, like a lot of times they're upright in fear. I've also seen 5, 6, 7, 8 jackrabbits this morning on my walk. And so it feels like maybe I do need to be paying more attention to that unconscious process. So it was a beautiful little
Very good.
synchronicity. Yeah.
All right, that's very good. Oh, I want to see 8 jackrabbits.
It's
I
pretty cool.
too actually really related to the rabbit, so that's kind of interesting. Um, so I see it because we're talking about sort of you asked me about my work. I was sort of seeing it as a reading on that. So I sort of took each card of what is happening. Like the conscious is definitely my heart's desire to put this work out. So I feel like it's just like, yes, that is my heart's desire. Um, and that definitely manifesting it in the world. Is important so much that it's been a long time to do it, so holding the focus has been very difficult. But I keep plowing through. It takes a long time. And the card sort of is a whenever it comes up when I'm reading for myself, it's always a trust your heart, keep moving and allow your heart to drive, to guide you, and and the middle card is more that nurturing into the material or the physical world, like to let your heart materialize in the physical and to allow that to happen, because I feel like so many times we stop ourselves. Anyway, so that is was something, and I did feel the bunny was definitely an ally. So that's I was like, oh, for some reason I am drawn to that bunny. I was like that bunny. And I wasn't really sure what's happening with that 6 of Cups. And I know it's sort of a bringing back of the past. And I've had these conversations with you, Tanya, about how once you're done mothering and your child gets older, it's time to kind of go back and play, become the child and become and play again in your own childness. Anyway, so I feel like that was part of it as well. And I did like the coolness in between the two warm and cozies.
It's beautiful to hear both of your reflections. I think you said Peacock Queen for that one in the middle. And yeah, Sandy, I almost also put up the Rider-Waite-Smith card for the 6 of Cups, just as a reminder of one of the story interpretations, where it's sort of that alternate lovers card in the deck where there's a feeling of being met and just beautiful equal partnership and love in whatever way, friendship, collaboration, joy, play.
Right. Okay.
But then I was like, well, let the card tell that story too. And so the daisy and the
Oh.
mirror, the flower for me was blocked, so I just put a rose in there and I was like, oh, I love that rose.
Oh.
I'm sure it's a rose. It's a daisy. I'm like, oh.
That's
But
funny.
I too was thinking about that Ace of Cups and as like the opportunity of bringing the next thing forward for me has to do with letting myself take up the space, which is a big
Right.
self-love energy. And then to see the queen sitting there so calmly, I'm always thinking in terms of metaphors of getting above the water line. And so here I was like, bring her up above the dirt line, bring
Right.
her to the world. And she is so calm. I love that energy. And then the mirror in the six, like, oh, let the project be a mirror for others that I'm
Mm,
meeting in a just an exuberant child way that's so playful and contagious and loving. And that feels really like a sweet practice.
I love that.
So let's see. I'm gonna go back. Go. Okay, so great question, Sandy. And then the next one, I chose the Druid Craft Tarot. And this was the question that Sandy had around how can I best manage my fears around the process of bringing my project into the world. So for this one, we have the Chariot as the conscious, and the unconscious is the sun, and then the ally or helper in this one is the Prince of Pentacles. So we'll do the same thing here and dive in for another 10 minutes
Okay.
and I'll call us back. Okay, I'm gonna have us stop on a sentence there just so we have time to get to the third one too. And I'll bring us back. Anything come up for this one? Love to hear.
Ready? All right. So I saw the Chariot as very powerful, and I do feel like that there is a big transformation happening, and that it is a strong, which she's a very strong character on the horses, and I felt like it is happening. It is very strong, and then we have the child, and that to allow all of that to happen in the way that it's happening in a powerful way. Um, and I have a particular, the sun card is one of my, what is it, life cards or whatever. So I always love to see that, like, oh, maybe I can be the sun someday. So I feel like that was great to see that. It always like sort of it puts me in a good way. Um, and with the Prince of Pentacles, I see that the change. It's like I am sort of creating the change. Um, but I know the shield, it's like it's coming out, but there's still a shield. So I'm kind of coming out from behind this shield, and the another thing that came to me is that all of these horses, these big, powerful animals, have harnesses, and that it's actually that I get to wield that power. So that's my take.
I love it. And I love that you're like, it's your birthday cards or whatever when you factor them down and all that for the sun. I love that.
Yeah, I'm a Leo too, so there's a lot of fire happening here,
Yes.
which I liked. For me, I noticed that the horses, there was at the first card was a black and a white, and so I'm like, oh, that feels like yin and yang, and how those have to be balanced in order to be empowered, and how, for me, I kind of saw how that I saw that as like the sun chariot, and so then when the sun was there, I'm like, well, that's interesting. And so, but it looked like kind of an androgynous, kind of a smaller being. And I felt like, okay, yeah, that is the yin and the yang, right? Already integrated internally. So that maybe is our natural state. Um, and then the last card felt like like a reminder, but also you need your shadow. Like it's not just male and female, it's the sun and the shadow, because it seemed like darker, kind of guarded, protected, you know, um, ready to exert power outward versus kind of holding the power inward and moving forward. So it felt like balancing those two things too. And also to notice that that horse was completely still. And so it was like pausing and kind of gathering that wherewithal before leaping headfirst. So
I love you writers. You're so great.
There goes Carrie. She's poeming.
Right.
We can't
Okay,
help
go on.
I I was noticing I was really attracted to the light, the sun behind, like it's sort of more diffuse behind the Chariot card up in the sky behind her. And then with the child, it's almost like an aura crown. It's really close and bright, and then in the Pentacles, the Prince of Pentacles, it's down in the ground a little bit, like oh, this like the soul gold. Just thought of it as soul gold in different places. And then, sometimes I think about that. I often see the Prince of Pentacles. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's that, the habitual going after the goal and sometimes getting so tired, like, oh, I'm going to get there. I got to rest for a minute. But having really good habits. So I see him as the positive habit taskmaster. He's going to get there. He just has to rest here and there. And it's kind of a nice balance. If the child is that joyful, unconscious sun self, I like the idea that there's a powerful chariot. There's a powerful, what would you call it? Somebody who knows how to get there. The knight will figure it out, good with resources and money and habits. And then the child will help balance out the seriousness of those other two. So I was excited to see those three cards there. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we'll just do maybe a shorter write on the third one, but I want to at least share it with you and see how far we get. So Sandy's third question had focused around what's my focal point for success and joy with this project. So here I chose the Angel Tarot by Radleigh Valentine. And the first card is actually the Hierophant card, if you're familiar with that. And Radleigh's called it Unity. The second card so that's conscious. The unconscious is the Ace of Earth. And the ally card, interesting here, is the Ten of Wands or the Ten of Fire. So let's just take, well, let's do 6 minutes and then we'll have time to wrap up and share. And I'll call us back at the end of 10. 6. All right. I'm going to stop us there. Hopefully the band isn't coming through. They're practicing, of course.
I don't hear it at all.
Good. It's just never fails.
Right? Well, I was laughing because, I thought maybe Paul would come home, and I was like, oh, good. He's, because I was like, oh. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So what'd you get on this writing, this round?
So I saw the Hierophant, or the first one. I kind of want the card still up, just so but there's a lot of things whirling around, and there's these orbs of different things to do, and there's a slight indication of a wing, and yet then we come to the next card, and there's definitely wings and a stillness, kind of like, there's all these things to do that you think you should be doing, but then to get into the stillness and in order to fly, there's like one bright spot that she's not focusing on it, but it's like just right here. And I feel like then you have the dragon, but it's just to let go of everything and let it fly. I guess that's my take on that.
I like that. I was noticing with the Ace of Earth too that to me it felt like a third eye, like you've got these wings, right? And
Yeah.
to me that felt like this golden kind of ancestral, ancient sort of power.
Yes.
That's not quite the right word, and then you've got this third eye to kind of know how to steer.
Yeah. But I feel that ancestral thing from that card as well.
Yeah.
As those
Yeah.
colors, or I feel
Sepia
that.
tone type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the archangel, the unity, it looks like he's kind of funneling, like he's got this circle on top, and it kind of feels like he's funneling from all of these different sources and trying to be super inquisitive and it's like there's an inner quest happening there. And then the Ten of Fire to me felt like more like the Old Testament kind of angel, even though I know it looks like a dragon, but all the feathers and the different colors and things like that. And so for me, it felt like it also reminded me of like an optical migraine. And so this kind of mystical, kind of kaleidoscopic, in and out sort of a thing. Um, and I don't know exactly what they all represent, but they felt really powerful and meaningful on an individual level too. So
Optical migraine. That's great, Gary. Um, yeah, I was connecting to just love of spirituality and all the different forms. So I'm like, of course, that's going to be part of the next, piece of the adventure, and being open to flying with different people who love spirituality as much as I do. And then that Ace of Earth, it is so peaceful, and those reds and ambers, it makes me happy to look at that card. I love the light. Um, and then the Ten of Wands, yeah, I guess, tarot history with that card, when it falls in a reading, and I'll say to whoever I'm reading for, take good care of your health, and, just pay attention to your body's signals. So I was thinking about it in that way. And what I love on this card is that Radleigh writes right there, accept help from others. So I'm like, okay, like, I love that.
So easily said and not done. Oh.
Exactly. So, and I also love this idea of thinking about each of the ally cards as like an energy or a presence that I can say, hey, Ten of Wands. And it can look like whatever we want, but it is beautiful, this multi-feathered dragon who's holding up, almost like holding this pot of life force, like, here,
Yes.
you might be tired. Have some. So.
Love it.
Yeah, so that's really beautiful. And what I want to do, I just close usually with showing a few ways that people can play with me. And then I want to in turn ask you both to speak a moment about your next upcoming ways people can play with you. I have it's now a fourth Saturday in-person poetry reading cheat class that I teach at San Diego Writers Inc. that I've been teaching for over 10 years now. And that's just a fun class coming up this weekend. And then I've been doing things in Sonoma County too, Northern California, Duncan's Mills Candle Company. So the next one is July 17th, and I've been creating little handouts with layouts to go around a theme. So July, white rose, And then in August, it'll be around Leo and the heart of the lion. So, Carrie, did you have a reading coming up with Saddle Road Press, or did I just miss it?
No, I have it coming up. I was going to look at my calendar, but I was looking through thumbing through the wrong pages. It is Sunday, July 6th, 3 p.m. Mountain Time.
Okay.
It's through Saddle Road Press. Yeah, Jillian, another friend from Australia, will be reading from her book, and then I'll be reading from my book, The Vulture Girl. Yeah.
Yay, that is so beautiful. And they're recording those as well, right? So we can access it two ways, which is beautiful. Congratulations on the Vulture Girl, Carrie.
Thank you. I'd love to know more about your sculptures, the 7 different fears. I'm wondering where I can find out more about that.
Oh, so those all came from this book. I started with this book, and then
It's from your dragons. Cool.
and then as I was reading that book, just all these things kept coming into my mind, and I thought, I want to make it so that I think I want to make it more accessible to more people that don't want to read about spirituality, but and so I wanted that whole running into your fears so that you have to face your fears I felt like it's really powerful. So that's why I was like, oh, but it all came from that book. And then other books, of course, you can read other, yeah, he is a shaman. It's from shamanic practice, but it's in all, all ancient, all these fears we have. It's the cause of all conflict, just
Oh, well, and you're going to be doing workshops, right? Maybe you could both put in your like where people can find your website or your books, and just put
oh
that in the
yeah.
chat so it'll be saved
Okay.
recording.
And I have a show coming up in August. What is it? It is, I know that I do. Oh, it's in Benicia. It's at the NY2CA gallery in Benicia. But I'll put that in the chat too. How's that?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I